Hello everyone and welcome back to the Great Book of Grudges. My name is Nathan and today we're going to talk about Necromunda Underhive Wars. A game that many of us have been waiting quite some time for. Another game released by Focus Home Interactive, who release a decent number of Warhammer games on a regular basis. The developers themselves are Rogue Factor, the company behind Mordheim City of the Damned, so when I got word that they were developing Necromunda in a very similar style to Mordheim, I was absolutely excited. Mordheim itself was very punishing but very rewarding, and it provided for countless hours of replayability, so obviously I waited for Necromunda to drop. The more I saw reviews popping up, the more I was excited for it. It seemed that the game itself was very polished, and it was going to provide not only some steady content for the channel, but just some genuine fun playtime for me. Unfortunately, after 5.5 hours of playtime, most of it live on this very channel in the form of a live stream, it seems that there are some glaring issues which, yeah, they are a big problem, and we're going to discuss this in this video. Now, what you'll be seeing on screen is both a mixture of my own live footage and some clips kindly provided by your boy Blue, a Twitch streamer whose link will be in the description below. These are glaring problems that I've seen during my playthrough, and they are rather disappointing to be honest. Before we begin, I want to make two things very clear. Firstly, this is not a review, but rather showing off some glaring problems from a game which is just released at full price. And secondly, those who know this channel know I don't really like to be negative about anything, but I will be completely honest if I see any issues. The fact being that I saw many reviews online as I wasn't too sure about introducing 40k elements to the Great Book of Grudges, and most of them were extremely positive about the game and for some reason didn't mention these rather obvious reasons. But let's not take any more time and jump right in. I was genuinely excited to show off Necromunda Underhive Wars. I'm a big fan of Mordheim City of the Damned as stated before, and I thought that this could be a great redemption arc, seeing as Mordheim was essentially abandoned. It's also important to note that Warhammer games have this hit and miss issue, where some games are absolutely amazing and then others, well, yeah, you know. But putting traumatization aside, let's go look at Necromunda. The game itself is actually quite fun. Aesthetically, it's one of the most visually pleasing Warhammer games we've seen so far, and the setting is perfect for one of these types of games. But it feels like the game was released way too soon. Much of the game looks and feels great, but then there's a lot of issues which feel completely unpolished. This feels like there's been a massive step back between Mordheim City of the Damned and Necromunda Underhive Wars. Let's just see some examples as to why this game shouldn't have been released just yet. It still required a little bit more development time. What you're seeing on screen right now isn't a recorded loop, but rather the AI NPC trying to move around the map. They seem to get rather confused when obstacles are in the way, and yes, this was a small issue in Mordheim City of the Damned, but through all my playthroughs of Mordheim, I never really encountered this issue that happens so often. Yes, it happened with the bigger things, such as the Impressives, but the smaller, more standardized type of unit was never really stuck all that often. This is a rather short clip of around 24 seconds, but I've seen this issue persist more and more for around a minute and a half at the very most. Pathfinding in maps that are rather complicated is rather important, especially when you're mostly playing against AI. Sure, you can simply play multiplayer, but this game, just like Mordheim, has a single player campaign. Something like this shouldn't happen, or at the very least not as often. It not only allows the player to cheese the AI, but also just takes the fun out of it. Now, with all that said and done, we're going to move over to another big issue. This is the camera, and now be warned if you do have problems with eyesight and so on, so please don't be afraid to minimize the video should you need to. So every now and then, not only with the NPC, but sometimes with your own player control characters, you'll notice some issues with the camera. Sometimes it's quite minor, but depending on where you walk to, where you initiate some sort of action, and in some cases just from something completely random, the camera which follows the character currently performing the action will go haywire. Sometimes, yeah, very minor, nothing too noticeable, and then just some other times it will go completely insane. This was an issue not only on my own stream, but a few other content creators have reached out to me and have suffered the same issue. Not only that, but so did a few of my subscribers. This was getting rather annoying during my live stream, as it was my first ever showcase of the product, and it was getting stuck in going haywire for 30 seconds to a minute. That not only does not look great on the game, but does not look great on the content creator who's trying to show off the product. In all honesty, had I known that this would have been an issue, I wouldn't have stream the content whatsoever. It's not fair on myself as a content creator, and it's not fair on my subscribers as viewers. The AI itself is also rather dumb, and I don't mean them just trying to get to you and getting stuck, but there are some cases, like in the clip you're seeing right now, that when they do reach you despite some seemingly impossible odds, they'll just completely ignore you and then just go about their merry way. It's a rather strange thing, which has happened to me on livestream, and it's also been the case where I've seen the NPCs who should have a open, clear shot at me, and they've just waited. They've done nothing. They've literally not even tried to attack me. I suppose it could be understandable if the AI's target is rather out of the way, but this wasn't an open map, which made no sense to me whatsoever. In most cases, if I can see you, you can see me. The AI seemed extremely passive compared to Mordheim, the City of the Damned, which in all honesty makes no sense to me. At the end of the day, they're both very similar type of games, and you would expect the Necromunda gangs to be just as aggressive as anything found within the city of Mordheim. I keep referencing Mordheim a lot in this video, mainly because not only is it one of my favorite games so far, it's also by the same developer, and these issues were more or less, in a lesser form I'd say, shown in Mordheim, so it's rather interesting that 5 years later they're not ironed out, instead they look worse, and it's a massive shame. Mordheim itself was effectively abandoned in 2016, not even a full year since its full release. Does that mean that this game will also suffer the same fate, especially since the same issues are presenting themselves 5 years later? It honestly just makes me worry, because these issues should have been fixed a while back. Playtesting exists for a reason, and something like this is not a good way to present a game. And we are aware that there have been playtesters because we have seen many early access reviewers. And obviously that means that they've had access to the game for some time now to be able to prepare let's plays, reviews, and so on. There are a few other issues with the game, but that is more balancing, which can be easily done via patch fixing very early on. And we'll be discussing this in much greater detail when I do a full complete review of Necromunda. Yes, I'm going to play through it a little more, try to ignore the camera bug and the AI bug, and see if I can present this game in its full complete review, showing off mechanics, UI, and so on. But in all honesty, as a consumer, not as a YouTuber, I'm disappointed that this game was €40. It doesn't feel polished, and it doesn't feel finished. It would have been perfectly fine if they would have needed to delay the game a little bit more just to iron out these glaring issues. Nobody would have judged the developers badly, because we know that right now many companies are working from home due to the pandemic, and these things do affect them. It is better to delay a product and make sure it comes out in the best of its ability than just bring out something which is just going to turn the potential player base away. Or at the very least, if they needed to release this product due to contractual agreements, reduce the price and slap an early access sticker on it. That would have made more sense, because I'm going to be very honest here, this was rather insulting. I am a massive fan of all things Warhammer, it's very obvious with my channel's content, and I was looking forward to this game for 3 years. This has put me off it. Sure, the game has been at a discount for some time now, but it still feels like it's not enough. All respect to the developers, I absolutely love Mordheim. I think that it's one of the best games I've ever played, and it's not because I'm a fan of Warhammer Fantasy Battles above all other forms of Warhammer, but just because it plays so damn well, barring some minor issues. I truly hope that these issues can be ironed out as quickly as possible, because not only will the game suffer, but the fans have been waiting for 3 years since the announcement? But they deserve a completed game. Once again, before I end this video, I just want to say I don't like being negative. Honestly, if I could have avoided it, I would, but it was 4.5 hours of a stream that was just proving to be more and more disappointing as soon as those issues presented themselves, which was fairly often. I love Warhammer video games almost as much as I love the tabletop, and it would be great to see more and more developers delve into it, but not like this. It's insulting to the fanbase. But with that, my friends, we've come to the end of our video. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy the video, might I suggest giving the video a like, or even subscribing to the channel, as it really does help us out. In the description section below are various links to different social media platforms such as Facebook, Instagram, and Discord. Also in the description section is an affiliate link with Element Games where you could buy loads of hobby-based products, not just Warhammer, for 10 to 25% off. Making a purchase using that link and also our special code, which is also in the description, supports the channel at no extra cost to you, which we think is rather cool. A big thank you to our patrons. Your support means the world to us. It's amazing that people want to help a small channel like us grow and get to a higher level of content. A big thank you to Gibraltar LUSC, Ryan Bertsche, Andrew Prince, and Okro for subscribing to us at our Fane level. You guys are super cool. And a big thank you to Edward Yule, VS Vasan, Aaron Whitman, and Shaggy for subscribing to us at our King level. Honestly, we can't thank you all enough. And lastly, a big thank you to all of you for liking, sharing, and commenting on these videos. Honestly, it's because of you guys that the channel's been growing at such a great pace lately, so we can't thank you all enough. But with that, my friends, thank you so much for watching once again, and we shall see you all again very, very soon. Have a good day.